Hello, everybody. This is Coltrane's, the coach of the Portland Pelippers in the NPBA Johto division. I am here making my first video, so go a little bit easy on me. But I'm just going to give you a brief rundown of my first week's team builder, and then analyze the replay. So we're starting off here. This is my opponent's team. He is bringing Kartana, Landorus, Suicune, Kyurem, Altaria, Escavalier, Rotom, Weezing, Sandaconda, and Torracat. Looking at this roster, what immediately stood out to my team, which you can see down here. The only one you're not seeing is Murkrow. We do not like grass types. And that being said, Steel doesn't really help Tapu Lele either. So Kartana I knew was coming. But what else he was going to bring is kind of left up for debate. I was pretty sure that he was going to be bringing Kyurem, Mega Altaria. And then I really didn't prep for Weezing, Sandaconda, or Torracat. None of them really made sense into my team. What did make sense to me, however, was Rotom coming. So I pegged him on these 4 Pokemon, and it was really up to what was coming from the other 3. Lando, Suicune, and Escavalier were the options. One of them I didn't think was going to make the cut. And I thought that one was probably going to be Escavalier because Kartana was already kind of holding its place on the physical attacking Steel type. That being said, he didn't end up bringing quite that roster. He actually ended up bringing Escavalier and Weezing, but we'll see that in the battle. But the rest of my team was kind of set up to play around these. We're going to start here with Tapu Lele. Lele was an Assault Vested set. This was specifically because Kyurem kind of messed with my team a lot. Having access to Freeze Dry, potentially being Scarfed or Choice Specked, it would rip through the majority of my team, except for Lele. It would hurt my Fortress. Probably wouldn't kill it in 2 hits, but still would not be something you would want to switch on into more than once. So we put a lot of bulk into Tapu Lele here. If we pull up the damage calc here, we got Tapu Lele versus a Kyurem Choice Spec set. Ice Beam is doing just under 40. While Moonblast isn't killing in return, as long as there was a little bit of chip, this was going to be very likely to kill. That's why we only have 48 special attack investment. The special defense was crucial to get that boost. Alright. My bad. Then we have that making sense. We got Future Sight because it doesn't have a whole lot of special attack here. So we don't really want to be messing around with weaker moves like Psychic or anything like that. A Future Sight coming in with any other attack is going to drop probably whatever's in front of it. We got Moonblast for Altaria and Kyurem. Focus Blast, just as a kind of strong coverage move. And Psyshock specifically to help beat through a good special wall like Suicune after some Calm Minds, etc. Next up, we got Hawlucha here. Hawlucha is kind of my game plan to win. Respectable attack stat, nothing too crazy, but incredibly high speed with Unburdened Psychic Seed, boosting its special defense. This means it's going to take most hits. I believe it doesn't do too great against Kyurem, exactly, but it could eat a Focus Blast, but more specifically, it does quite well against Suicune. Eating a couple Scalds, though, if we got burned, that'd be unfortunate. Going up to +2 attack with no item allows us to do a lot to it. It takes very little in return with the special defense boost. You might be wondering why it's 8 HP and 68 defense. This is specifically to help against Kartana. Assuming Kartana was max speed, Choice Scarf, or even Adamant, if we want to look at it this way. It's doing a lot. And what this extra little bit of bulk on Hawlucha does is it allows it, if it's not Adamant, if it is Jolly, to potentially eat a crit from a Smart Strike. If it is Adamant, then it's a roll. And if we need to eat a crit, then we need to eat a crit. this extra little bit of investment would save me in the worst case scenario of a Swords Dance, and then it's starting to go off if it's not a Scarf set. Next up is Gerald. Gerald is here to deal with anything that gives Tapu Lele trouble, right? A huge physical wall with good resists against his entire team. Max HP, max defense, relaxed nature, so we can get a more powerful Gyro Ball. And the last 4 into special defense, because why not? This is here to really just set some spikes. Not great defog options on his team, with Rapid Spin just in case we need it. Just to really set down a layer, or 3. 2 doesn't make a whole big of a difference, but if we can just get a spike down, and then start Volt Switching outs, and making sure that we're in a good position, Gerald here would do his job. Except we have Manaphy. Manaphy's not here for any particular reason. We didn't really bring our Rancor, and so we're not going to be doing anything tricky with hydration, but a good +3 on any of these moves are going to be hitting Pokemon really hard. Energy Ball is going to be destroying Suicune. Ice Beam's good kind of neutrally, and we got Stab Surf. Across the board, hits pretty hard. This also hits Altaria really hard. It's just kind of here to take a hit every once in a while, maybe eat a knockoff, then go in with Tail Glow and hopefully sweep if we need it to, although I doubt it will. It's just enough speed investment to outspeed Choice Specs Kyurem. Same with Jirachi here, which we have to really just keep the team healthy. Iron Head, U-Turn, Wish, Protect with Serene Grace. This helps take down the Mega Altaria, which sets up for our last Mon in the back, which is really our second way to win. Almost max speed, just enough to outspeed Kyurem. Max HP to take good wishes with leftovers and U-turns, with just enough special defense to help out in some bad matchups. And it's really nice, actually, that we had this extra little bulk when we go to the battle. Last up, we got Regidrago. Now, Regidrago is a very interesting Pokemon. It's got a respectable attack and respectable special attack at 100, but nothing crazy, with a subpar speed set, just enough to still be viable with a Choice Scarf, with a huge HP stat. All this would make it a rather subpar Pokemon overall, but it's got the ability Dragon's Maw, which essentially turns its base 100 special attack and attack into a base 150. And now we're cooking with mayonnaise, ladies and gentlemen. Dragon Energy, base 150 power coming out of a base 150 special attack will pretty much take any Pokemon off of his roster, including stuff that normally resists it. You really need a Fairy type to be taking this. Dragon Energy is doing 154 to 181 to Kartana, and even if it is 252, it is still doing a lot of damage. If there's any sort of chip on it from, say, spikes or anything, this Kartana is going to be not enjoying it. The other one that it would maybe be a switch in would be Escavalier, assuming it's specially defensive, and that's why we have Fire Fang here, just for the coverage if it does happen to be the specially defensive set. Outside that, we're just kind of running max speed, max special attack, mild nature, going on the minus defense because we do actually want to keep that little bit of power for Fire Fang. And that's pretty much the team. We're going to be wanting to have Tapu Lele and Hawlucha come in together for a potential endgame sweep, while pivoting out throughout the match between these 4 particular to set up easy kills for Hawlucha or for Regidrago. Like I said, if Regidrago ever is open, if we take out his Altaria, after it's Mega Evolved, by the way, if it's not Mega Evolved, then it doesn't come in. It will die. But if he does manage to get Mega Evolved, and it starts coming in on our Regidrago, then we're going to have a pretty easy time going through any non-Scarfers on his team. And even then, we have Draco Meteor, and we live 1 hit from pretty much anything. I think even Kyurem, if I remember right, if it's a Choice Scarf set instead of a Choice Specs. Let me just do that. Yeah, we do live a Freeze Dry, just barely, with Regidrago. So, then that's pretty much the team builder, and I will see you all in the recap for the analysis of the actual game that happened. Alright, and I am back here with our replay against the Trinidad Treeckos. And he did bring, like I said, a Scavalier and Wheezing, which I didn't think were coming. I kind of wrote off the Wheezing immediately when we entered this battle. Um, I don't know what it really actually is supposed to threaten out from my team. I think it's here to mostly Will-O-Wisp stuff like Swampert, which didn't come. I actually have quite a few special attackers on my side of the field, so it has a lot of more limited use. Um, Escavalier, Rotom Heat, Kyurem. The rest is pretty standard. I thought Escavalier could come, so we are a little bit prepared for it, but Fortress really does just wall it here. And before I even click my first Pokemon, typically what I tend to think about is how do I win, right? And I win with Regidrago if Kartana is not Choice Scarfed and if Altaria is dead. I also win with Hawlucha if we can kill pretty much just the Kartana. So these two Pokemon need to go. They're the biggest threats. I need to keep Regidrago and Hawlucha alive throughout this battle. That being said, what do I lead with? Really, there's only one Pokemon here that beats my Tapu Lele really hard, that is. And that's Kartana. Escavalier also beats it, but both of them are checked by Fortress. So I'm going to be leading off with Tapu Lele here. It has neutral to good matchups against the rest of his team. And if he does lead with one of those, I can just easily switch into Fortress and get a spike. And here we see the Rotom Heat coming out and into Escavalier. I started just off with the Future Sight for free damage, and we go into Fortress. This is pretty safe. Nothing he really can hit me with is going to threaten me. And he does opt for the knockoff. That's going to take my Rocky Helmet off of me. And this is a fine position. I don't really care. Rocky Helmet was here to really help check Kartana, but it's not really needed. And so here I'm thinking, we'll just get a spike. What's the worst thing that happens? He goes to Rotom Heat, and I just go back out to Lele, and I ended up with a spike at the end of the day. He decides to opt for the Iron Head. No flinch as we get our first layer of spikes in, and the Future Sight comes in for a measly 16%. Out to Rotom Heat, pretty expected, and we go for the Volt Switch. There's a couple Mons that I could have gone to here. Specifically, Regidrago would have been fantastic, and it would have secured me a kill right off the bat. But I was kind of fearing that this Rotom would be Choice Scarfed. And if it was Choice Scarfed, it would get a decent hit off on the Volt Switch, and then he could go to, say, especially defensive Escavalier, and I'd be in a really bad position. So instead, I opt for the safe play, go back to Lele. Lele walls this, and doesn't really fear anything that it's got. If it tricks, then that kind of sucks if it is a Choice Scarf set, but it can be taken care of. This just turns Tapu Lele into an alternate win set. He volts, and goes back out to the Escavalier, which I'm fine with. It's starting to take chip from the spike. Just repeating the same process here, back out to Fortress, and he doubles to Rotom, which was a really good play. Brings me back out to Lele because it's just never threatened. And once again, another 12%. This spike is slowly taking its toll as Future Sight comes back out here. And Escavalier is just slowly getting whittled down. We're going to be taking a kill, hopefully soon. Next, we go into Jirachi. I doubt that I was running a fire move, and Jirachi needs to come in to heal either of these guys up. That being said, I don't go for the Wish in case he switched out to Rotom, and he goes for the knockoff. I really thought about getting a second spike up here, but I'm glad I didn't. Honestly, it not really necessary, and we just continue to chip down this Escavalier. And here I've had enough. Escavalier is almost dead. It's going to get maybe one more good switch in. Rotom is not in, and we are going to have a really good turn. Something's dying. And he decides to leave it in, eats Dragon Energy. Fantastic. We take out the Escavalier. We're up one Pokemon. Now, Altaria comes in, and that forces me to switch out. I can't hit it. Nothing this Regidrago is carrying is going to be doing enough, so I switch out to Jirachi. And he Mega Evolves and goes for the Hyper Voice. Going to the Calc, I realized this is not one of the sets I was fearing. I'm like, okay, we can just Iron Head flinch it down. The worst thing happens is a Fire Blast, but we're Jirachi, and we're going to flinch him down. Got that 60% flinch rate coming out, which forces him out to Rotom. Still wasn't sure if this was Scarf or not. He's only revealed the Volt Switch at this point. And I really don't want this thing with a Choice Scarf, honestly. Nor do I want it eating an Overheat. While I might be able to take a Fire Blast from Altaria, it's not going to be having a really good time against Overheat from Rotom Heat with its Stav. So we're going to be taking it. We're going to be protecting Scout. See, it goes for the Volt Switch. And now this is really just a Scout to see if it was a Choice Scarf or not. And it goes for the Will-O-Wisp. I was pretty sure it was a Choice Scarf. And if it overheated here, that would have been pretty bad, actually. Let's check the calc on this. Rotom Heat. Rotom Heat. Let's go with the nasty plot set. Going for a Overheat. Would have done a large chunk to Jirachi, but not enough where I couldn't wish it off, so... Luckily, he went for the Will-O-Wisp and missed. That's pretty lucky for us. We go out to the U-turn into Tapu Lele. Like I said, you can't really touch Lele, and this is going to allow it to heal all the way up. Unfortunately, this does invite in the Kartana, but now we're at full health. Going out to Fortress. We can't take a huge amount of hits from this thing anymore because we were quite low, but we can eat that Smart Strike, and we pretty much confirm that it is a Scarf set. And that crit is really unfortunate. It means I'm probably not going to be taking another hit here from anything as we Volt Switch out to Regidrago. I'm more than happy trading for that Kartana. Really helps in the Lucha matchup, but he does not, and so I do a good double switch here into Jirachi, thinking that Altaria would be the one coming in on Regidrago. It just makes too much sense. You risk too much if you let it go for Dragon Energy. Now, I'm going to go back to this turn. This turn was probably one of the more pivotal turns in the matchup. If I Iron Headed and he stayed in, I had secured the kill, which allows Regidrago to run wild on his team at this point. They would just start dropping Draco Meteors, and even if we traded 1-for-1 forever, we were already ahead in the Sack War. So I risked going for the Iron Head. The Kartana is such an obvious switch that I really wanted to click U-turn, but if I U-turned and he stayed in and went for like a DD, a Cotton Guard, that could be really bad really quickly, and I decided instead to go for the Iron Head and play it safe. All things considered, I am ahead, so playing it safe is alright, but it makes this game drag out longer than it needs to be. Good spike chip damage, another Iron Head, slowly bringing this Kartana down. Protect to see what he goes for, and he goes for the knockoff. And back when I was talking about that crit on Fortress, this is why it kind of mattered. I don't think it would have really lived too much, but it might have been a roll. Not really checked it. We go back into Regidrago to force him back out again. Go for the Fire Fang. Just kind of a neutral move because I thought he was going for Altaria. And if we managed to burn from Fire Fang, that would have been really good. That being said, he went Rotom. No chance to burn, which is a really risky switch on his end. But I guess he needed it to get back into it. And we started eating discharges. Doing just around 20% each time. We can afford to take that. Missed the Focus Blast, unfortunately. But the battle just keeps going, and we get that Future Sight off now. We're back down to 15%, just slowly, not 50, 50%, slowly getting chipped. But now Future Sight's in play. Nothing really wants to take that Future Sight anymore. If you notice, Kartana's low, Altaria's low, Rotom's starting to get low. This is boosted by the Psychic Terrain. And so we go out for Jirachi. We can take the Overheat, in theory. And eat it up, U-turn. Safe play. Back out to Regidrago. Because if he overheats here, huge resist, huge HP stat, just means that we're probably going to be going for Draco Meteors for the rest of the game. And a focus, not focus, but the Future Sight coming out from Lele will knock this Rotom Heat down. He does in fact go for the overheat. And he falls. My bad, excuse me. Altaria comes out. This is kind of a misplay from me. I go for the Ancient Power. Kind of hoping he would just, I guess, kind of go for the hyper voice and knock me out. At this point, Hooch is largely uncontested. And instead, he goes for Roost, which really is bad for me. I have to immediately go Jirachi, and we eat that focus, Fire Blast to the face. This is what I was talking about, that special defense investment coming in, because we're getting our leftovers, and I probably should have protected, but I didn't want to let him Roost again, but this slowly brings us out of range of another one. Leftovers are just ticking up. In theory, we could eat another Fire Blast here soon. Karna comes in, protect, scout what he's going for, knock off. And it's about this point of the battle I realized, man, I really should have eaten that knockoff from Escavalier earlier. I could have actually probably beat this thing one-on-one if I didn't have my item. It would have hurt, but I wouldn't have to give it an attack boost here. I managed to conjure up Manaphy's okay to switch into this Choice Scarf Narcoff. And I think Tailglow is a little bit too greedy. Just want the damage off on Kirim. Jirachi comes back in. Earth Power, it's pretty obvious I was going to switch back to Jirachi, but it's done its job. We're significantly ahead. Most of his mons are either about to die or in dire straits, and Lele is here strictly for this reason. If you remember from the if you remember from the damage calc that I showed earlier against Kirim, we really only needed one good hit for our Tapu Lele to get ahead in this matchup. Kirim, choice specs, Moonblast is 74 to 87, and look at that, 74. Perfectly in range for a Moonblast. Nothing wants to take it. He decides to sack Altaria here. Moonblast comes out and claims his kill. Back into Kartana, and Kartana cannot switch in anymore on the spikes, and here we can let Lele die. We got our Hawlucha in game that we were looking for. Take it down with the quick acrobatics. And here I thought I essentially had the battle, but I didn't realize just how defensive this Weezing was. I knew it's most likely running Will-O-Wisp, and that's going to hurt my attack stat, so I'm running Iron Head. I'm just going to hope for flinches, so I decided to go to +2 beforehand, and it works out. Maybe like one more, please just connect one more Iron Head, and we got this victory with a flinch. And it doesn't. That's unfortunate, because if it was at this amount of HP, close combat would have killed. But from here, I'm pretty sure it's spec'd, and Dragon Energy cannot miss where Draco Meteor could, and that pretty much wraps up our game. I'd like to thank everyone for watching this. This is something completely new for me. I don't know if I will continue to do this in the future, but I hope you all enjoyed watching, and I can be a little bit of a spaz sometimes and jumping from here to there, and I'm pretty sure I blitzed through this replay. Might take it a little bit more slow in the future, especially because one of the coaches here in the Johto division is from Germany. He seems to have a pretty good grasp on his English, but I don't want to be speaking too quickly to confuse him and make him have to rewatch certain sections, which I think I might have this time around. But that's pretty much wrapping it up for week 1. Good luck to all the other coaches in all the other divisions, and I will catch you all around.